before we get into it, is there anything that you don't want to talk about?
Let's see. I don't want to talk about the fact that maybe I've been spending the last 10 years in commercial real estate and now I'm about to blow the yoga retreat up.
Perfect.
Husband's going to probably kill me when he hears this. So maybe let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
That might be for the next series.
All right. Sounds good. Let's do this. Welcome everybody to the Rodriguez Project. I have a really great friend of mine on the show today. There's so many different ways that I could even describe what you do, but I'm so excited about one endeavor that you just dove fully into. So I can't wait to talk about that and much, much more. Lindy Pearson, everybody. Yeah, the crowd goes wild.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got it. Well, before we get started, we're drinking some terrific wine. Are you a big wine drinker?
Yes, 100%.
White or red?
Red. Although I know this is white. Anything that's sparkly or red.
Yes. And we just had a good friend drop it off for us. Nomadic.
Yes, DDA and Hallie.
Yes. I love having them close by.
I know, right? It's like, hey, doing a podcast. Do you think you can stop by? Yeah, sure. Got it.
Yeah, so we'll put all of their information in the description below. But this is a different conversation for us. We dive deep pretty often. Yeah. We talk business a lot. We met through business. Yeah. You're a master networker. You've done a lot of different things. But this new venture is like fully Lindy. How does it feel like now that things are starting to formulate and maybe you're blossoming into like your full form?
That's a loaded question. Okay, so
I'll take a loaded answer.
Right, going from the business side of things and not even commercial real estate, which is really not on that digital marketing side, and getting in front of the camera was something that was incredibly hard. And thanks to you were able to kind of help me with that wall, help it come down a little bit. And as the years came by and we progressed, I realized all the value that I was creating. And it wasn't necessarily value like the lease administration and all the tours and all that. It was more about the connectivity of people, more about realizing the value that connecting 1 + 1 can equal more than just 2.
Yes.
And so as that kind of happened over the years, I started incorporating myself, personal self with business self. And I think growing up, it was always very different, like how you were in front of the camera or in front of the meeting or at the table, and then what you did on your own time. And nowadays, I'm really seeing the gap blended.
Yeah, you're like constantly flipping the switch, like, okay, what hat do I have to wear today? And you're able to wear all of those different things. But that's what I love about even when I started my own business, which you've been super helpful in our growth and everything too. I know you just gave me some flowers. I want to give them right back because you've been super pivotal in our growth. And that's what was so great, that it was a mutually beneficial relationship when we first met. And we hit it off right from the get within that. But yeah, so now, instead of wearing all these different hats, I love that because I created my own thing. And as you're creating your own thing, you get to be exactly who you want to be, and you don't have to flip switches. It literally can be this, you can be exactly who you are all the time. Yeah. So you're starting to feel that now?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, today is a perfect example. I was at an exchange meeting and we had to talk about something that happened in the past that kind of shaped us in order to bring us where we are today. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have like 17,000 stories, but I'm not going to bore everyone. And basically I talked about exactly what we said. Most often you have to be in a box and that's how you're an expert, but that's not true. You can take all of what you've learned from beginning to the present moment to 2 years and whatever goals that you have. And it's more about, okay, I built this network. I've been working on connecting these people for so long. And now I'm going ahead and taking a slight right, but it's not a slight right in terms of business. It's a slight right in terms of industry. And I'm still using all the people that I need. I needed to use a lawyer the other day to give me some sort of liability papers to fill out. I use that from my network. I I don't want to give too much away, but you know, some of the different retreats and stuff, and hiring people and figuring out deposits and all that, like all that has the business side of it. Now it's just like braided in. Yeah. So I was able to say, hey, this is where I came from. This is what I'm doing. And this is my next adventure. And I already had a couple people stay afterwards and they're like, okay, what's this retreat thing? What's going on? And like, I want in, because people see how important it is. It's like a life coach almost.
Yeah.
But you're doing it with like-minded people in a group setting, and it just resonates with me. So
yeah, because you're the person, one of, you know, the top person that I know that if I don't have somebody that I need for something, I'm like, let me go to Lindy because she has somebody. You do.
I love this.
And it's so important. I think
for this.
And a lot of people, when they're just starting off with something in anything, right? We always want to be further along than we are. And you hear all the journey talk and finding in the now, and like a lot of the stuff that might be a little too surfaced, because people haven't put in the 40,000 hours, you know, depending on what you're doing. Yeah. You know, the 10,000 is one thing, but doing it for even longer and staying dedicated to something, and now starting something else, like you said, making it right. But all of that network still is helpful because people are still people. And and people are more open to needing something like the new journey that you're on, which I can't wait to get even further into, because it's something that I'm way more open to than I was back in the day. But I want to hold off on the retreat stuff for a second. But even growing a network with people that you can turn to, was there ever a moment, like even just starting out in business, that you were like, I don't know who to turn to for this kind of thing? And when and how did things, was it the networking company that helped bring all this stuff, or you know, even helped spearheading that journey? Or when did you become the person that had all of the connections?
That's a nice title. Showing up, consistency, living outside of my comfort zone. I remember the very first time I was in an actual roundtable discussion, and I was filling in for Ricky. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. These guys are like so cool and they're totally up your alley. And, you know, here's the address and here's the time. And bring business cards. I'm like, oh.
There you go.
I was like, whose business cards are bring yours? Because I don't have any.
Yeah, like, you just scratch out the name.
Like, where am I going to get those? That's ghetto.
Yeah.
And I get there to the meeting and there's, I don't know, maybe 20-ish people. And we're going around the room and they're all telling these stories that were just like, wow, okay, that's cool. Oh, that's a good one. We finally get to me and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, this is crazy. So I just stood up. I was a little bit like, not nervous, but just like apprehensive. And I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. This is what we do. This is what hubby does. This is what I do. And if you guys want to help me formulate that into a sentence, then, you know, I'm all yours. Otherwise, like, here's his business card. Because that's basically what he told me to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
was this at an exchange event?
Yeah, I was on an exchange event, like 6 years ago.
So he was a part of it first?
Technically speaking, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like the very first meeting he couldn't go to, so he sent me, and then one of the other founders kind of makes a joke and said, "Okay, sorry, we're gonna change Rick to Lindy, and we don't need you anymore."
Yeah.
And it just kind of spearheaded from that, and I think it was just being in a like-minded situation where people that are in their growth. It's not about the title of being a managing partner. It's the partners. It's the people who want it. It's the people that are hungry. It's the people who've been working for 10 years at whatever it is that fuels their passion, that finally say, you know what? I have enough confidence. I have enough clientele. I have a big enough book. I'm going out on my own. I'm going to do it my way. It's definitely going to be hard, but like every day, showing up. Consistency.
And even if you don't know what to do, and stand up and say, listen, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, or I just got here, I'm not sure you guys have all these stories, but this is what I got right now.
I mean,
and then now you've laid the foundation. Now you can at least build on that. If you don't ever build the foundation of just learning things and trying stuff out and failing forward, and then you can build upon that. But so many people want to already be at the top of the mountain that they're not worried about, like,
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Whew. I've never heard that. Is that yours?
Patience.
It is. It's so true, though.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Patience. There's been times where there's been meetings I've gone to and I just want to stick my eye with the pencil because it's so incredibly boring. And I think to myself, okay, I'm here. Let's make the best of it. If there's no one here for me, whose day can I stoke and make this connection? What can I do? Like, that's what I'm all about, the connectivity. So I think even though I was in this commercial real estate side of things, I don't think it was the wrong place for me to be. I still don't think it's the wrong place for me to be. I think I'll always be there.
It's a great place to be.
But I think there's also other sides of that I crave and I require.
Mm-hmm. So even being at those places where you might not have, like you said, you want to stick your self in the eye with a pencil. However, if you can pull something out of that, if you can start the conversation, our first time going to Sundance, this most recent time, this is my 4th time going to Sundance Film Festival and going to meet connections, investors, producers, or whatever.
Big time.
Yeah. And it's my favorite place to network because there's less gatekeepers. Everybody's on the same street and want to help out each other. And,
it's your tribe.
Yeah, it is. And I'm building more and more people out there. When I first went out there, didn't have a family. Now I have a whole Park City family. But we had after the second day, this past time, I was like, how did we fully take advantage of the first year? Because I didn't go alone. I didn't go alone this time, but I didn't have the usual suspects with me, right? Mm-hmm. So my brother-in-law, Paris, and my other business partner, Andre Ray. So the first year we went, and I started thinking about this on Sunday morning. I'm like, okay, we got to make the most out of this day. Because the first day we got here, we were late on Friday. We didn't get into the party we wanted to, where there would have been a lot of really great connections. Yuli got in, but we didn't get in.
Yuli, underage Yuli.
Not underage.
Oh, you're 21 now? What?
Valentine's Day.
I've known you for that long? Right on.
Yeah. Gabe is underage.
Hi is on now.
Damn. I'm like, why is all the video blurry? No, but Sunday morning, myself and Romel got up, and he's one of the guys that I go every year. And we're walking down this cold ass street, and I'm like, how did we take advantage of the first year? And I was like, Paris, my brother-in-law, who wasn't there with us this time, and he set us up with a lot of different invites to different parties or connections that were already out there. In Paris, if you're in a room, Paris will walk up to every single person and say, hey, what do you do? And they're like, oh, I do this. Like, oh, that's cool. Here's my, business card. Also, here's, pull out your phone. And they'll pull out their phone. All right, this is our film. This is what we're doing. Boom, boom, boom. And he'll do that to every single person. I had to channel him the last day because I could do that in the club back in the day with the girls. I could talk to every single girl because it's a numbers game. But,
I don't know. I've never seen that one before.
Yeah, you met me past
Fun Time Sally. What? I don't know.
But I couldn't. But Paris can do that with business, and that is why we met the most investors, the most producers. So he is at the top of the game when it comes to that kind of stuff. When you're in a room of people you don't know, how do you approach people, or how do you make that magic happen?
Again, okay, this is I don't know if you were at my last meeting or what was going on, but it was taking things from the past. So I grew up, my grandpa invented a line of drinks, and I spent a lot of time at his lab, in his office. Mm-hmm. But it was always somehow being a liaison between different compartments. Those compartments are the same boxes that I talked about earlier about, you just fit in a box. You're just a lab worker, or you're just a facilities worker, or you work in the office, or you don't fraternize, or you don't do this. And at a very young age, I was able to be exposed to so many different walks of life. And I was able to be the connector, the communicator, the glue. I was able to read people to know, okay, maybe if someone handled the situation a little bit differently, they would have gotten a different reaction. And so that I have taken into the last 10 years of networking. And when you ask me, how am I able to connect to something like that? Because I know even if you're just a service provider and you're not a CFO, the decision maker or CEO or chief level, whatever, you'd be surprised how many times I have taken the time to just include someone or to give my business card to someone. And that person ends up being the person who goes back, and I end up getting some sort of accolade, filling the pipeline, potential new person for real estate, or actually something for my retreat. It goes like all colors of the rainbow.
Mm-hmm. And people grow eventually too into those positions. Sometimes people will be, they want to talk to the person in charge or whatever. But if you really, Issa Rae talks about this, you network with people on your level, and then grow together. They become those people in charge down the line.
There's this one girl, her name's Roberta. She is, I don't even know her whole story. Raised in a very different environment, ended up coming out here all by herself, totally out of her comfort zone. She's a beautiful young lady, started working for a company that really has old school ways. And she was like, no, this is me and this is what's happening. And then I think just about a year-ish, I just heard today she got promoted to being a partner. Now, here's these people who have done business a certain way for so long. And then here's another person who comes in and is able to do the connectivity and to bring in everything, and boom, there you go. So back in the day, if someone didn't give her a chance or didn't talk to her or didn't invite her to the table, whatever sort of inclusivity that you want to do, I wouldn't have a new opportunity for a new business to represent. Full circle.
I love that.
No brainer.
Yeah, that's it. That's how you make magic happen. That's a wrap. No,
do you believe in magic?
I do. I used to do magic. That was my first career.
Should I ask? What's your trick?
No, I don't got anything with me. If I had a deck of cards and I'm all ding in post, ding. Okay. When did yoga enter your world?
Ooh,
and
let's get deep.
Were you judgmental of it at first, or has it always been part of your life?
Okay. Let's take a dive. I'm also a mermaid, for those of you that don't know, so we're just going to do a deep dive. Before I even knew what yoga was, I think there's two kinds of yoga. There's yoga on the mat and there's yoga off the mat. And I think the world is very familiar with yoga on the mat. It's pretty easy. It's the asanas. It's all the different poses. But yoga off the mat is something that I accidentally fell into. Maybe I was born into it. Maybe it was a past life. Maybe, I had angels protecting me. But I had a very chaotic childhood, a very different upbringing. And I was always the calm within the eye of the storm. And that's like something that's like talked about or thought about, like your dharma, your purpose, your gift, whatever you can add to a situation that might be SOS, 911 kind of thing. And I remembered all the things I would say in my head, and I didn't have names for anything. Like now I know what they were. They were mantras. I was saying, like, I have nothing to do with this. This has nothing to do with
At
me.
what age would you say?
I don't know, super young, just single digits.
Wow.
Like, I know what's going on, has nothing to do with me, but yet, wow, like this is what's, before my eyes. So there was time where I just needed to be calm. I just needed moments. I didn't know what those moments were called. I didn't know if it was meditation. As far as I was concerned, I was just a little different than my family, needing this stuff. And then it wasn't until, so that went on for years. And I had a lot of people say things to me like, oh, glad you're here. You're so soulful. You're so loving. You have like such a light about you and blah, 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 whatever. Okay, great. Just, as you think about, okay, people like me. Maybe in the beginning of life, people were a little confused around me, had nothing to do with me. Then all of a sudden, I'm introduced to yoga on the mat. I'm in my early 20s, living in Santa Monica and...
Living in Santa Monica?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beach, mermaid.
Real close to the beach,
sun.
wow.
And they're like, oh, there's this class today, you have to try it. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll try it. And I try it, and I remember it was one of the most terrible experiences ever. I came home, I got a terrible headache. Like I've never had a migraine, but maybe it was a migraine. I didn't want anything loud. I didn't want any light. I didn't want anything for like 2 days. I was sick, like out for the count. And I wasn't sick with the flu or whatever kind of symptoms. I was like something happened during that class. Now thinking back, I had a bunch of toxins in me and I released something. I was open to something, released it. Okay, fine, whatever. Maybe I'm not a yogi. A couple times go by, and then some people were like, oh, there's the best teacher. There's the best this, and you have to try that. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't really do yoga. No, just try it. And I don't know why. I just kept going back to the physical practice. And before I knew it, it was mind, body, and spirit connection. It was the way of my breath that I've always practiced, It was the humility, and, you know, every single person on their mat is on their own space, in their own space, and it should be a sacred space. It shouldn't be anything like, okay, I can't do, you know, I can't balance on my pinky and, you know, be an eagle's pose and know every single Sanskrit word. It was more about, wow, this is like helping me. This is helping release. And I was at that point starting a new family. At 26, I had a son and a daughter. And I realized that the situation I was in at that particular moment was not healthy. My relationship wasn't healthy. I was giving more than I was getting in.
You noticed this through your practices?
Yeah. Yeah, because I would.
And you were in somewhat of a toxic environment or relationship based on whatever it was, but you weren't able to see that until you got into the practice.
Yeah, it was when I took a break. I would take literally an hour break. That was the class. And I was able to clear my head. I had no thoughts. Like in the beginning you have thoughts, and they're like clouds, you know, they're like,
I want to talk about
they're
that.
like light, dark, this, that, blah, blah, but like they all keep moving. And the first couple minutes, maybe 15 minutes, I had all this darkness, and then all of a sudden yoga class would be over. And I'm like, wow, I silenced my mind. I refilled. And then I'd go back to the environment and I'd realize, whoa, this is more chaos. So maybe I chose this chaotic environment because that's where I came from. But now that I know the difference, from this day on, I'm going to take the steps forward for clarity. I'm going to take the steps forward to be like, no, this is me. And this is how I'm going to show up. And I know that I'm a good person. So I'm going to keep on this. Then many things happen after that.
Would you say this is a true statement that most people that try yoga or finally give it a chance maybe don't get past that first level of like...
I'm going to go 99.9999999%. Even teaching right now, people will come into class and I'm like, okay, first time yogi. Their hands are like, they're almost embarrassed.
Everybody's like embarrassed to like say that I'm doing something new.
Right?
But if you can get past that threshold,
they're like, I never liked yoga, and I'm like, oh great, can't wait to have you in class.
Yeah,
like awesome. Like
is there
honesty is like the best, the best start. Okay.
Is there a part of you that like takes like that as a challenge? I know you're not competitive, but is it like a challenge to get to have breakthroughs with people or?
It is, like, honestly. So levitating. Do I know how to levitate? Physically with my feet off the ground? No, but spiritually, yes. And when someone comes into class like that and then they leave going, oh my gosh, like, do you do privates? I mean, I'm almost like falling to the ground. That just in 1 hour-ish, I'm able to take someone's opinion from, I'm not flexible, I don't want to do this, I'm hungover, or whatever the case may be, to going, no, I want to continue this. And now not only do I want to do it, I want to invite friends, I want to invite hubby, I want to invite this, I want to invite that, I want to do, like, however, it just keeps on like the ripple effect. But when someone's open, the possibilities are super endless.
Yeah, it's like they're and we talk about this in acting a lot, your instrument, your body is your instrument.
Yes.
But if you're restricted and you have all of these like internal thoughts, or you're so in your head about it, or you're thinking about what other people are thinking about you, or what your parents said and you shouldn't be acting, whatever, you're so restricted that we can't even work with you. Eventually, once you open up and your instrument is fluent and you're not worried about making a fool of yourself, now we can actually do the practices and you can become your best self. It sounds like that's kind of what's going on.
Yeah. Or even something like the word coach was thrown out recently. And I was like, I am not a coach. There are people I know that are coaches that like get shit done. And then I took a couple steps back and I'm thinking, okay, I'm making suggestions. I take an hour and a half, however long it is. And I'm just making suggestions. I'm saying, okay, you can do this, you can modify it this way, you could do that, get out of your head, breathe, whatever it is you're doing. And people are doing it. So it is like coaching someone to have a better like wellness aspect.
Yeah.
To be able to turn it off, reset, take a break, quiet that inner voice, and then keep on with your bad self.
Yeah. Cause I wouldn't call myself a coach. But if you break it down, it's like, it becomes like, it's like that, right? Cause very similar to you, it's not about being a coach of someone. You've had the experiences and you've built your practices around that. And now you just want that for other people. And I've seen there's a different version that I only experienced with you maybe once at one of Pamela's things, at the sound bath, right? Sound at her place, with the teepee and everything. And I came a little bit later. You had already been there, and I could tell that was your sacred place on that mat. You were still very nice and inviting and all that stuff, but you were in your zone.
Yeah, it was
cool
me.
to see. It was, it has to be for you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, once you've had those breakthroughs with people, you're not selling anything. You're just like, I have lived a better life. I'm continuously working on it. I'm open and I want to continue getting better at all things. And you're able to share that with people. And then I think that's when you're able to make breakthroughs with people, is that what makes it worth it for you? Or is it just a sense of like helping others? Is it through what you found that's helped you out so much now you want to share with others? Or what does that look like for you?
Yes, it makes me feel better helping people. But sometimes when you help people, it's not always fun. You're helping someone else through the threshold, but man, it takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Like there's this new rule where it's like 20%. Like I can only give one individual 20%, because if it's more than 20%, you need something more than me. Mm. And I'm not afraid to say that. And this is because yoga and meditation and your retreats and stuff like that, that's a piece to their puzzle of like happiness and stuff. But it seems like a lot of the breakthroughs that you're having with people on the mat or in your retreats or everything that you do are very similar to somebody that's open to therapy and having similar breakthroughs there, or maybe at the gym or other forms of therapy. Is it would you say it's like a form of therapy? It's very 100%, therapeutic, yeah, right? 100%. So, I mean, not to get, super crazy into
let's get crazy.
Yoga world or
we got
anything.
Our wine sponsored by Nomadic, let's go.
Like an esoteric type mentality is that your energy inside of your body. A lot of people don't realize how much energy you control or you suppress. And you do it based on things that might have slightly negative connotations, like fear-based, anxiety-based, what's going to happen in the future, am I good enough, the confidence level, all these things. And so you suppress that energy, and energy wants to flow. It's a flow. Whatever your flow is, it's a vinyasa flow, it's a kundalini flow, it's a hatha flow, it's a Bikram flow. This is
a book I recently read. Ikigai
you know about flow. This? Yeah. I don't know about
this. It's what do they say? It's like the Japanese have the most centenarians, and it's about getting into your flow state. And it doesn't mean about doing something huge, miraculous. It's like taking pride in everything you do and finding your flow state.
Yeah,
allows you to live longer.
Yeah. So what I try to do is, whoever I'm with, whenever we're teaching or doing our thing, I look at the people who are shaking. Maybe we're balancing and their ankles are kind of wavering, or maybe we're doing a Vashisthasana, which is just a side plank, and their arm is down and their arm is kind of shaking, and I can feel it. And I say to them, I'm like, if you're shaking right now, you are exactly where you need to be.
Because some people might take that as a sign it's just too hard for me. I need to go to a beginner level, even
where do you go? That's self-doubt.
What was that move called?
Judgmental. Vashisthasana.
You know about that?
Side plank.
You know what is it?
Vashisthasana.
Yeah.
Side plank for all you fitness people out there. And as soon as I say something like that, it is like magic. Poof. Everyone is all of a sudden on the same playing field. And they're like, oh, we're supposed to be shaking.
I'm doing it right.
Oh, I'm doing it right. And really what you're doing is you're moving energy. You're shaking. That's your energy. And you're like, okay, I can only do one more. And then after one more, they're like, okay, hold it. Okay, do this, do that. Okay, da-da-da. And you do it by the mere suggestion. And it is, once you just kind of release your brain is so smart. It just rules you forever and ever. Once you release that, all of a sudden you stop shaking.
And now you've made progress.
Yeah.
You're there, you showed up.
So whatever trauma it is, I love when people say, "Oh, I've never experienced trauma before."
Ask your muscles that it's been stored in since you were 6.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm not, you can go from 1 to 1,000 in terms of what kind of drama you've experienced, but someone's had a trauma, a loss, whatever kind of form it is, and you store it. That's what you do, unless you're, I don't know, a monk that's in the mountains that's sworn to silence for the rest of their life, and you're Hanuman and all that. But it's everyone has feelings, and so often I'm going to go way back to how we first started, being in that box and being able to check off what it is we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it, because maybe it's been passed down from traditions, elders, however it is, and that's not exactly the case. You can release it, and for yoga, the physical asana practice is warming up the muscles, honoring the heart, getting the breath to go throughout all the way to the top, your crown chakra, all the way down. I always say, by the end of this class, I'm going to have you breathing out of your pinky toe. And everyone's like, what does that mean? That's weird. Mm-hmm. But you get it. You have to get that breath flowing all the way through. And then after you're warmed up, then after all that takes place, then you earn your Shavasana. What is that Shavasana for? To enter that state of complete bliss. Most oftentimes these days, it's go, 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 go. Multitask. If you're not working, then you're not getting shit done. Like, how's this going? It's this constant flow where sometimes you just need to back up a little bit. Slow your roll. Figure it out. Feel it. Whatever feels good to you. The subtle body is ignored almost all the time. And so the yoga kind of brings that back into you to be like, you know what? If I'm twisting and, 360 motion, whatever, and my ankle's not feeling right or my lower back's not feeling right, back off. And so those on the mat kind of scenarios, I like to tell people how to take it off the mat. And I feel like that's a super big link to humanity.
Yeah.
Is that once you just pause, take that breath, and then react, and your pause might be, I don't know, it could be for a year. I mean, if you're like that deep and you need to pause for a year, like, do that. If you need to pause for a second, literally take a 4-second breath and then go from there. I can't tell you how many times just from that little pause, whatever it is you need, 5 seconds, 1 second, 2 days, and then you respond, less emotion, more feeling, the results are immeasurable. More magic.
I had a moment where, so my sister, Allison, who was just out here, about maybe 2 years ago, she wanted to come to LA, Santa Monica to have a wellness trip because the chaos of her life and,
she has
the constant,
kids, dealing with all this.
Absolutely. And I had just gone through a breakup as well. And she was like, hey, let's go do yoga on the beach. And I was like, all right, fuck it, let's go, right? I made it look like, I had like a full-time yogi. And we got there and here's the thing. And this is what I want to know.
I could just see you. You're like,
I got pictures. Yeah, but here's the thing is that I'm so competitive and like with my whole life is like rooted in sports, which I'm so grateful for. But I found this was also less open Marcos, I think, too, at the time. Not fully like hard-headed, I know everything, young Marcos. This was like, mid or like early 30s, still thought he knew some shit.
She's still in her 30s?
Yeah, but like beginning of my 30s. Yeah. I'm getting closer to 40 now, so anyways. I'm starting to bloom eventually. As men, we take longer. Okay. But my experience was doing yoga on the beach, which was great, and doing it with my sister, which was amazing. But it was more competitive for me to see if I could do the poses right and if I could hold it as long and like that kind of stuff. What would you say to someone who, because I could even coming from like my family and Paris, my brother-in-law and I were giving my dad and my other brother-in-law, Jeff, a hard time because they've never had a massage in their life.
Oy.
So, and like they wouldn't even think about yoga or meditation, that kind of stuff. And me being in LA now for 17 years, I'm like, I'm open to everything. I want to try everything now because I'm dedicated to growth and expansion, and like everything that I don't know, I want to know and experience. And so I'm on that train now. But going back to doing yoga for the first time, if you see like the most hard-headed individual that maybe thinks that they don't need it, what is what is the mindset going into your first session, and how many times would you say for this person to like stay dedicated, give it a shot for this to see if it's right for you? Would you say it's, unless you'd say maybe it is right for everyone. If they do it right, it would impact your life. I have a feeling that you might think that.
I actually go both ways on this, because as you know, I travel a ton and I always do yoga wherever I am. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I get there in the first half of class, I'm in a little bit of a judgmental, state of mind, like, this class sucks. And then I'm like, hello, you're only focused on the asana, which is the physicality of what I look like in the pose.
I knew asana.
You
know asana?
there's so much more to it. So if I'm so shallow-minded in that moment that I can't even figure out how to enjoy myself for 1 hour stretching, basically yoga is stretching. I mean, let's not get crazy. Then again, what am I doing here? So you kind of have to
it's like the acceptance or something of the moment. You have to
change your frame of mind, and you have to ask yourself, what am I doing here? Like, why did I go to a yoga class? Did I go to a yoga class because my girlfriend asked me to?
Probably.
That was kind of good towards you. Did I go to a yoga class because my doctor said I'm in deep doo-doo and like I need to start doing something for myself? Is this like, like a forced, like why do you want to go here? And then you have to figure out the right kind of style for you. There's so many different styles of yoga that personally I don't enjoy.
Have you tried Kundalini?
I have.
What do you think about Kundalini so far?
I very much like that. That is awakening a very powerful spirit.
I want to introduce you to somebody.
Okay.
Michael Vega.
Okay.
He's a former Navy SEAL.
Okay.
And his story is so mind-blowing.
Is he here in LA?
He's here in LA.
Ooh.
He teaches Kundalini yoga. So he's a veteran. He teaches it to veterans for free in Venice, I believe.
We have to go to a class.
So I'm down. So he has this thing, and my other friend, Nicholas Patrica, who's the lead singer of Walk the Moon, he owns it's called Kundalini by the Sea. And it
sounds like Mermaid Land to me.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to introduce you to both of them, and also let's go have an experience, because I would love to experience that with none other than you.
I call those field trips. I love field trips.
But both of them, it changed their lives dramatically. It
changed their energy and their attitude. That's what changed their lives.
Now Michael teaches it to veterans, because he was on a bunch of like psychiatric drugs and stuff like that they were trying to give him Western to like cure medicine. his PTSD from war and whatnot. And then he eventually did that. And now he's trying to allow other veterans know, because, a lot of us men are like so hard-headed, like we don't need anything. But this allows them to be free from all of that. And he's changed so many people's lives. So yeah,
yes,
let's field trip it up. But what has your experience been with Kundalini, or haven't you done much of that?
Yes, I have actually. And I feel like from a woman's perspective, every month around when Aunt Flo comes to visit, that is a very powerful time for a woman. And for me, the Kundalini spirit really rises. And sometimes it almost is so strong, because I don't want to get like too much into religion or anything, but a lot of the deities are like a dual representation. So there's like a destructor, destroyer, and also someone who is creating life at the same point. And you realize you have this teeter-totter. You have this inner voice, that's you. And then you have you, like, who am I? Like physical presence. And then you have, in your practice, you kind of align all of those to be one. So the Kundalini, like when you actively awaken that up, and when you have, fire breath or, stuff that you're working through, she gives it to you. Those are like, she like puts a couple of things on your list, and you're like, okay, this is what I need to be working on. And in order to be open to that, you got to get through some of those shaking moments. You got to get through some of those hyperventilating moments before the calm of the breath. You have to be there to not only experience it from a muscle perspective on your mat, but a mental perspective. And once you feel that, then you ask yourself, well, where do I go with this? I'm not going to be like on my mat all the time and like, sacred land. I'm going to be in work mode, and I'm going to be in mom mode, and whatever your situation is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you're able to kind of bring her out as a friend. You have like someone on your side. You have like a team of energy. It's energy.
Yeah. So someone, listen, you can't.
Your chakras. She speaks to all of your chakras. She is a girl. Kundalini is a girl.
Wow. It's interesting to me that most people that I've heard talk about Kundalini, and it's 3 of them. Another one of them is my friend Pratesh, who has been life-changing from him as well. He doesn't own a studio or doesn't teach it, but it's been super
profound.
Yeah, profound to him, and just he speaks so highly of it, what he's able to do and understand and just live his life better. So that's been it's I've seen women do it as well, but do you think that's maybe geared towards men based on like part of the structure of what it is? Or is that just
like
my
a
experience?
men versus women conversation?
I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering if that style of it is more geared to men because of how I don't know anything about it. I'm just wondering if it's just a coincidence or not.
I'm gonna leave names out, but in my humble opinion, I feel that men oftentimes have a very logical state of mind,
mm-hmm.
very practical. It's like, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, and boom, there you go. Where women kind of like see that 1 + 1 + 1, and we like read between the lines, and we're getting like the feeling out of it. And how can we make maybe 1 + 2 = 100 instead of 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1? So for that aspect, I think it's important for men to do exercises that does bring up the Kundalini spirit. I think it really lets them know, again, being in that state of mind of if you're networking in a business meeting, if you're business development and going after people, if you're creating events, if you're writing scripts, if you're doing yoga, like whatever these things are, you have to be able to, I'm just going to talk about the rainbow of colors, like all the pieces of the pie. You have to be able to understand where everyone is coming from to be able to evoke those feelings. It's only when you feel those feelings, whatever those feelings are, the Kundalini spirit, maybe it's courage, maybe it's effort, maybe it's effortless effort, maybe it's helping the fear dissipate. Whatever it is, you're going to take that inner strength. Again, we talked about the energy, we talked about the chakras, like not to be esoteric, but all of that works within the body. And as soon as you accept it and say, hey, come on over, let's figure it out, do your thing, whether it's a list, whether it's an Excel sheet, whether it's a retreat, wherever you are, wherever you land, before you know it, you've arrived and you don't even know when you arrived. Like you arrived so far back there that you're like,
I've been here.
Hey, like I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, how is this? Like, how did this happen? Like, how did this podcast happen? Like, boom, sit down, let's have a podcast. Boom. Why? Because the energy is here. It's feeling it. It's believing it. It's living it. It's doing it. It's exercising it. It's talking about it. It's having other people open to it. And this isn't just because of me. I mean, let's face it. Yoga is a saturated industry here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's figuring out what speaks to you.
Yeah, that's very like.
What speaks to you? There's also hatha yoga, there's like tons of yoga, but I find a lot of men like the hatha yoga because it's different poses. It's a repetition. It's logical. You know what to expect.
It's like this.
No,
I'm joking.
No. Not necessarily, because it is a pattern. So you might be cool. Let's just say like you did sports and you're competitive. You might be cool for the first 26 poses. And then you're like, okay, we're going to repeat it again. Maybe you're like quasi cool. Then we're going to repeat it again. And maybe you're like, what the did I get myself into? And then all of a sudden you go into Shavasana, and then you kind of wake up a little bit and you realize, wow, I went from all these poses to maybe not doing well to now being completely clear. That's the open state of mind that I think about and that I talk about, is you come in heavy. You have some bags. There's some things, and maybe you don't even know. Maybe you just have like 2 shopping bags, but there's like bags in your bags.
Yeah. Remember, you even told me on your last retreat, you said that I think it was in your last retreat, you thought you were going in there talking something else, and then that didn't come up at all, and something else came up.
Okay. Now that is a little bit of breath work. That's the real deal too.
Yeah.
We had a couple of ladies, and we were doing breath work with the amazing Alina Vincent. She's an amazing healing vessel. And again, it's my retreat. So I'm thinking I'm not really going to get like the utmost.
Yeah. You're worried about everybody else too. You're making sure everybody else has a good time, but.
And then it was my turn to lay down, and I've done so much breath work, and I was thinking, I'm gonna probably think about my husband and think about my kids. I got one in college, one about to go to college, and there's a lot of moving parts in my household. And when I finally sat down, I got to go way back. And I say I got to go way back is because I had another release I didn't even know was there. Miss Coach, Miss Practitioner, Miss showing up every day for the last, 20 some odd years. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I couldn't have been more wrong in such a beautiful way. And I cried. I released. I lost control for a little bit of my breath, which, again, humbly speaking, I didn't think that was going to happen. And it did. And I was able to speak to other hearts. And I was able to realize that there were some things that were going on as my kids were getting older. I kind of identified some things prior in my single digits of years that we talked about earlier. And my heart got like really heavy. And it was about, I don't know, a 6-hour day of a lot of different experiences. And I felt really confused at the end of the day. And I slept great. I woke up the next morning. I journaled a bunch of stuff, and I realized, wow, I had some things I was carrying that I didn't even know. And all the other ladies talked about the stuff that they were carrying. And to know that we all had this bond through just a simple suggestion of being open.
Wow.
How can I not continue doing this?
Yeah, and how strong, and like it speaks to who you are and what you're giving yourself to allow those experiences to happen. Because even hearing from or thinking of a lot of men or anybody that maybe questions these things and thinks that they're a little too foo-foo, or that's not what I do.
mean,
but it's so brave of you to go in and allow something you didn't even think of to come up and to be able to have that experience. And now you're better for it because you understand it more. You're able to release some things. You're able to bond with other women within the retreat to say, wow, we just had this amazing experience together and we're all better for it. And if you weren't open to it, it never would have been able to happen. And you wouldn't be as strong or like a brave of a person or is evolved as a person if you didn't have that experience.
So really quickly, I know you didn't ask this question, but I'm just gonna give like one more testimonial. There's this one lady who was a friend of a friend, lives in Tennessee, fell in love with someone early in life, didn't marry them, married someone else, had a beautiful life, beautiful relationship, beautiful kids, everything, and then realized one day, I still love this other person. I believe, don't quote me, I believe after 30 years, she said, I'm getting a divorce. I'm moving. I'm going to go be with the love of my life. And he gets sick and dies. Now, I didn't learn all of this in the beginning. I just thought it was a beautiful woman who wanted to attend my retreat. Mm-hmm. And during the same breath work that I got all crazy and like worked up about, she was able to find clarity. And actually, he visited her.
Damn.
And like was able to, she has this diamond on her necklace that was on one of the rings that he got her, and she always wears it. And it was like, that's how he entered. She wasn't exactly that open in the beginning. Again, we're all getting to know each other. We're all figuring it out. Mm-hmm. And I'm just listening to her and I'm like sobbing. I'm like, wait a minute. Because of me, this happened?
You align things to allow like other things to take place.
What?
Does that feel like some reassurance for you that I mean, we all need some reassurance that we're on the right path.
100%.
You know, it's not, I wouldn't call it validation. I like reassurance better, because it's like,
she went from needing to work on some things that don't come from me, come from her. That's why she wanted to be on the retreat in the first place. I already sent out an email for my next retreat, and she was one of the first people that said I'm in. And I mean, that like already like, whoa.
Yeah, which is cool for you because you know what you're doing, but it's like, but that allows you more opportunities to help more people see. What would you say someone is missing out on if they say, oh, yoga, breath work, all that stuff? Nah, it's not for me. They don't even want to try it. What would you say in a simple way that they would be missing out on in the future?
It's a really tough question. So I'm assuming this person, quote unquote, isn't open to receiving. So when you're not open to receiving, you have somewhat of a wall.
That probably presents itself in a lot of other places in life. Actually, let me rephrase it.
Okay.
What would you say to younger Lindy that went to that first one and was like, nah, it's not for me? What would she be missing out on in the future?
Let me count the ways. A second chance on falling in love.
Got chills.
Yeah. My first marriage was not exactly what I thought it was going to be. I mean, just to make it real short, I don't even believe he asked me to marry him. I think it just happened. For someone who's searching for more, for someone who maybe doesn't have a big, hype team, for someone who doesn't have that person of trust, for someone that feels like maybe they're depressed, or maybe they're feeling all these things and they're not comfortable. Maybe they're in a position where people depend on them and they need to always, come in strong, come in hot. Maybe there's times where you're going through things, because I'm a firm believer that every decade of your life, we're only here for such a small amount of time. Every decade of your life, you go through so many different things. For me right now, I'm in my 40s. I'm turning 46 this year, and my kids are getting older. My career is established. Now I'm starting a new venture, and there's like all these things. Time that's reallocated. Age comes into play. No matter how much exercise I do, gravity is still here. And so you have a way to either fight that or be peaceful. And so if you're not into yoga, if you're not into the breath work, if you're not into that's be uncomfortable, maybe just have a talk with yourself. What is it that I want? Do I want to be closer to my wife? Do I want to be closer to my children? Do I want something that's more consistent with LA, a better body, something like that? Bathing suit, bikini season. I always talk about that when we do some of our other exercises. But vanity, being open, being one with yourself, having a really healthy heart. A lot of people think diet and lifestyle has to do with the vanity, but maybe it could just be different things that go on in your life. For me and my family, high cholesterol, it's something. So I'm vegetarian/vegan because I have to be, because I want my heart to be healthy, because I want my vital organs to be happy. I know your sister is going through a little something right now, and she's got to deal with how is she going to holistically, or Western medicine, wherever you lie.
More holistically, but yeah,
a little bit of both. What does that mean for you? How are you going to get into that? Maybe there's an older gentleman that that can barely walk. Maybe their spine, maybe their neck alignment, maybe all the stuff that's going on isn't working for them. And maybe it's they've done cortisone shots and they've done all these things, and yoga could be a suggestion. Yoga does make it work with your body, because you're not only doing something for the physical aspect, you're doing something for the mental aspect. And sometimes that humility, being able to just all show up in a room and be we're all the same. We're all different, and that's why we're the same. Can kind of connect people too. both business and yoga.
Whew. Cheers to that. Well, I'd say I've learned a lot on this podcast. I love that we've never dove this far deep into this. Mm-mm. And as you're starting something new, it's been really amazing to watch. You from a distance and from close up.
The wine guy's calling.
Answer it on the phone. You can have it close so we can hear it.
Hi, DDA.
Hey, Lindy. Hey, I left you the box of can in front of Mark's door.
Okay, perfect.
Is that working?
Yeah, you're actually on the mic right now.
What's up, DDA?
Oh, great. I hope you guys finished and I'm not bothering you in the middle of it.
You're not bothering us. We're actually in the middle. You were on the mic. You were on the Rodriguez project.
And we're almost finished with the bottle of wine, so thank you.
Okay, cool. You got those cans there?
Yep,
Sorry,
perfect.
I couldn't come and give you guys a kiss.
It's okay.
But the intention and the love was there.
Okay.
Thank you, brother.
Adios.
He's the best. No, it's been such a pleasure watching like your whole journey and how everything is coming together, and how I can see that you're going to be able to make the biggest impact moving forward, and already what you've done in a short period of time with the retreats you've done, as you're setting things up, as people are starting to follow your social medias as well, Lindy Pearson, which we'll put up. But I want to end on a final, maybe a final thought, as you're building this new brand, who is fully you, as you're building this legacy as yourself and making this big impact on those that you have already met and those you will in the future, as we are seeing Lindy Pearson on all these different socials, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, etc. There will be more retreats in the future. I'm going to push for a book in the future. I want to set this stage. Pre-recorded courses that people can access this, because you're one of those people that doesn't come often in people's lives. And as you're building something, and as I'm able to see it, I'm like, wow, you've been so, like I said at the very beginning, you've been pivotal in my journey. You're having these moments with people that are life-changing on your retreats, in these classes, and online. And as we continue putting out this valuable information so people can live their best lives, as you are someone who is dedicated to that, dedicated to growth, have these great people around you that are also doing that. What are you most excited about right now for the next couple of years, as you embark on this new journey? We're all works in progress. This is just,
there's like 5 things, like 5 things are like, they're like all going around. I'm like, okay, wait, what do I do? So the way this whole retreat was born is that I have some girlfriends I refer to as the bitches. Mm-hmm. And
you refer to them. I don't call them that.
Oh, well, we all call each other that.
Right,
it's a term of endearment.
Yes.
And we've had these amazing vacations, and we all have these people that are like, we want to go. And we're like, oh, we kind of have like a good group here.
Yeah. We don't want to really fuck with the dynamic.
Yeah. It's like,
it's hard to get into the group.
The group is closed. It was born and closed. Like, that's it. And so I have some friends, Tyler and Karina, that are trainers, that I've kind of worked with, even like with their support, just like blowing this up, or using their gyms, doing stuff, using studios, doing stuff. And, some of their clients were like, hey, I really like yoga too. And some of my clients were like, okay, let's do this. And that's kind of how like the retreat was born. It was like, let's be able to align, take the same word, and do some sort of coaching, some sort of opening, experiences, different things that people are into, and getting a group of women. I don't know if it's always going to stay women, but for now it's kind of a woman's thing. Mm-hmm. To be able to...
Unless you're filming it.
Unless you're filming it with Julie, I love you. I can't wait. Can't wait. But you get these group of people, and they always start off in this like awkward sort of like dance where you're like, do I go forward? Do I go sideways? Do I go 3 feet? Do I go 1 feet? Do I hold hands? Is this weird? You know, this whole COVID thing, whatever, let's not get into that, but like doing all this stuff, right? And that's how it starts. And then when we end it, it's like, remember like the Care Bears? Like when they're like the yeah. Care Bears stare and they have this like whatever it is, like the rainbows, or like the 4-leaf clover and the this and the that. Like that's what we end up being. We end up being this like loving, caring group of people that we can conquer anything. Mm-hmm. And you realize I am strong. I am confident. I am courageous. And courageous doesn't mean that you don't have fear. Courageous doesn't mean that you're not scared to do something or to talk to someone about something or to end something or to start something. I mean, I'm starting something that's, I mean, I'm in all directions right now. I'm like, holy crap. Like I'm starting a new business. We didn't
realize the last like 4 years was like just a gateway drug.
I think like Mastermynd Media and commercial real estate was the gateway drug to being able to open this like new light and this new line of work. And as I see people, I see their faces, you know, there's like, when you're like doing things that are really hard for you, your like whole face like scrunches up, and then you realize that you can actually have effortless effort. Your passion is effortless effort. You can make money. You can do whatever you want in the world. Like when you're doing something that you love, limitless, no boundaries, no nothing. The answer is yes, because it just fits. It just works. And so the yoga retreats, I think, were born in that sense of you can be who you are. Figure out how to align it. Figure out how to incorporate it, how to braid it into your entire life. And once that happens, it's no longer work. It's just you. Like, who are you? Like, it's you. Are you that voice? Dope. Are you that person in the flesh? What's happening? How do you define you? I think that's really what the retreats are about. That's what you walk away from.
And this is something that I don't think was always so possible. That people are awakening to saying like, oh shit, wait, I can do this for a living. I can continuously help people, because you're finding, you know, who you are through it. You're finding a place where people need help in something. When you're doing something that's helping people that you would do for free, if you could, the money, everything else follows.
Yeah.
And the as you talked about the ripple effect earlier, you're helping this one person, you're wowing people and changing their lives. So they're going to tell other people about this, which is great for business, but it's great for legacy. It's great for impact, positive impact, that you're letting people be who they truly are. And
it's simple. It's simple. People say all the time, like, oh, I'm trying, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, honey. You're not trying. You're doing it. If you're talking about it, you're doing it. It might be at like this millimeter of a step, and this like, maybe you're even sidestepping.
But you're doing it.
But you're doing it.
And if you're not doing it, you need to figure out how to do it.
I can help with that.
Wow. So, thanks for diving deep on this. I'm so excited for it. It's so cool to see already.
I just want to say thanks to Mastermynd Media, because it's not easy. We talked about this earlier, like handing over the keys. And we've been working for 5-6-ish something years. And I think we've both watched each other take steps, side steps, great. Front steps,
back step.
No, never back steps. Never back steps.
Never back steps.
I don't think so. Always either side or front, side stepping or front.
There might have been some back steps. And I mean, you know, listen, we're pushing for it, but sometimes you need that like leverage of like backing up to then full throttle. Maybe not back steps. Okay, side steps. Yeah, okay.
Side steps. Those are side steps, because you're still taking steps, so you're still doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
See that little.
But yeah, I remember from our first conversation, as I was on 5928.5 Vineland Avenue in my 3-bedroom townhouse with 2 roommates. I remember it was like 9 p.m. We had our first conversation at 9 p.m. Laura introduced us, so she referred us to help you guys out, and we had a conversation.
Thank goodness for Laura.
Yeah, and I think we both swore within like the first 5 minutes of the call. I was like, oh yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Because we're open, our instruments were open.
Yeah.
Let's fuck this shit up. Is kind of maybe
instruments are open. That's a good one.
It's
true.
Yeah. And when you're open to it, and that's what I hope for everybody, is that maybe through this conversation, someone was able to understand. And that's maybe what I was trying to like.
Yeah, we all have a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if maybe I've been on this journey for 5 years and you're just starting your journey. It's about creating a space for yourself. That's what on the mat yoga is. It's creating that space for yourself. Maybe you look to your left and maybe you look to your right. Maybe you have your eyes closed the whole entire time, but it's all for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reset for you.
Take the step, be open, and see what can happen. Then you can have an educated decision how you want to move forward.
And if you like, just one piece of advice,
you'll give money back.
No,
I'm joking.
I work hard for that shit. No, one piece of advice for people out there who have tried yoga and don't exactly like it. Please try another class. Please try another studio. Please try another teacher. Please try another aspect of yoga. Please don't give up, because if you're searching for something, if you really need something, it's there for you. You just have to try a couple things. Maybe that's what I say about like sidestepping, you know? You try a class and you're like, oh, fuck that. I'm not doing that class ever again. Like that was the worst class ever. But then someone else says something and you're like, oh, wow. Like that really resonated with me. I have a friend, Karina. She is an amazing person, but yoga is not her jam. And she always says like, I don't like yoga, but I like Lindy's yoga. And that to me is like, okay, you know what? Like, I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah, and it's eventually going to click for you. Find the click.
Find the click. Yeah, find whatever resonates for you. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be your local studio. It doesn't have to be your friend who just opened up a studio, or whoever it is, or however, whatever business venture you have going on. Find the place for you. And when you find the most free, where you can step onto your mat and unzip your skin and just show up as whatever color, your chakra, your light, your lack thereof, whatever it is, like
fucking bars right here.
like that is
your skin right now.
That is arrival.
Yeah.
When you can unzip your skin and be like, this is me. Like, I don't know. That's levitating.
I love that. And if you do want to find out if Lindy is for you, lindyandpearson.com. We're just working on finalizing the website currently. Also, Lindy and Pearson on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, etc.
Anything else?
No, this was super enlightening for me. I love that we got to have yeah. And especially
I thought I was coming here just to, have a meeting, but that's podcasted up.
Yeah. Let's have a meeting with 3 cameras and a couple microphones. We'll get it done.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the future.
Thank you for being such an integral part of my team.
Oh, likewise.
You too, Yuli.
Hey. All right. Well, that is the Rodriguez project for today. Wrap it up. I already told everybody where they can find you. Any final words as we close this thing out? Those were bars. I don't know if you realized that you were just flowing off the top, but
kind of
yeah.
Something about when you feel. Like I'm all about feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe sometimes I feel too much, but I think for like anyone, I think it's just important to really think about your subtle body. Like think about it, because we dismiss it all the time. And those are the little triggers. Those are the parts where it can get you through that threshold that you're like, should I stay? Should I go? The subtle body. Pay attention to that. That's really important. It's a very sensitive part of your soul and your energy that a lot of people suppress because it's not always accepted. And whatever it is that you're doing, it's you need to be on top of everything. You need to be in charge of everything. But once you listen to that subtle body, you realize what threshold. Again, it's way behind you.
Yeah.
So go with that.
And if you want to hear more from Lindy, I already mentioned the social media platforms, but also Level Up Podcast, Level Up with Lindy Pearson, is YouTube and everywhere you find your podcast. I would love to hear more of these kind of podcasts with you because it's just like a different.
It's coming.
No, this is such an exciting chapter. Thank you for doing this. I love you, and thank you for everything you've done with us, for us, and with us at Mastermynd.
Bitches.
Yeah. So much more to come. Cheers.
Until we meet again.
Yeah, one more cheers. Thank you, Nomadic. Thank you, Yuli. If you're still with us, please rate our podcast and comment, and subscribe to us on YouTube. New episodes every single week. We drop wide clips, that's what we call them internally here at Mastermynd. You won't know what that means. We have a whole clips page, the Rodriguez Project Clips. Also shorts, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Now Nomadic got me drunk. Mastermynd Media, Mastermynd Sports, Mastermynd. We did. Yeah. I need you to finish that. And Mark Rodriguez TV, wherever you get your local newspaper. All right. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yes.
We'll see
friend.
you all
meet again.
Yes. Peace, everybody.